What's up, everybody? Today I'm going to go over 20 symptoms of ME/CFS. I'm going to leave a couple bonus ones at the end too. But this is for people that think that ME is just about being tired, maybe some brain fog. It's an illness that is much more complex than that with a lot more symptoms. So I'm just going to list off 20, and there are more than that. So if you're watching this and you have ME, drop in the comments what symptoms I left off. I know there will be some. But I just want people who are watching this to understand. So if this is sent to a friend or a family member or a coworker who's trying to understand ME or doesn't understand ME, the symptoms I'm about to list off, many people deal with these every day, all of them. Some people, all of them, the unfortunate ones, some people about half of them, some people 5 or 6 of them. But as I list off these symptoms, please try to understand that these all happen at the same time for people. And try to put yourself in their shoes of dealing with these symptoms on a daily or weekly basis, of all these symptoms compiling on top of each other, compounding on top of each other. That's really what this illness is about, that a lot of people don't talk about. Okay, so the first two, I'm just going to kind of get out of the way because most people know about. That's fatigue and brain fog. Now, the fatigue is not being tired. If it was just being tired, we'd all just pull ourselves up from the bootstraps, drink some coffee, and get on with it. The fatigue that people have with ME is a soul-crunching exhaustion that is unbearable. Just sitting down you could feel the exhaustion. So keep that in mind. The brain fog, I think a lot of people are starting to learn about. Lack of concentration, feeling detached. So those are the first two, okay? And a lot of people know about those. So let's jump into the ones you may not know about, and please keep in mind that most people deal with all of these on a daily basis. So number 3, since I just did 1 and 2, number 3 is muscle pain and muscle tightness. I would say almost everyone with ME has tightness in the neck and the shoulders and different muscle groups, and tightness where you lose a little bit of range of motion, which can be pain in itself, tires people out. So dealing with pain on a daily basis, not easy to do. So muscle pain, muscle tightness. Okay. Number 4, dizziness and vertigo. A lot of people with ME have dizziness just from getting up. Not the typical dizziness you had when you are sitting down for a very long time and you get up really fast, but just general dizziness from moving your head left to right. Dizziness when you're sitting down, dizziness when you're walking. It can be very difficult. And vertigo, everything's spinning. It's similar to dizziness, but that's even worse. And you could be thrown up from that. Horrible. I've had it before. I don't wish it on my worst enemy. So that's something that people deal with pretty regularly. Number 5, nausea. This is one that I've learned people deal with from talking to people in support groups. I've had it, but I didn't realize how common it was. People just having nausea for no reason on a daily basis. No matter what they eat, no matter what their diet, just nausea, which anyone who's had nausea, we all know it's just not fun to have. Number 6, IBS-D, IBS-C, SIBO, bloating. So IBS-D is IBS with diarrhea, IBS-C is constipation. These can be debilitating in and of itself. Going to the bathroom 10 times a day, sometimes more. Being completely exhausted from just losing your nutrients and having diarrhea on a daily basis, several times a day. Pretty tough symptom to deal with. Number 7, migraines and headaches. Migraines are terrible. Another debilitating symptom. People that have severe migraines, just that in itself can stop people from having a consistent job, a consistent social life. So now that we're at number 7, let's stop for a second. I've already mentioned fatigue, brain fog, dizziness, nausea, IBS, and migraines. We're not even halfway through the list. Imagine if you had all of those symptoms all at once. Imagine what it would be like going to a social event, to work, doing the dishes, taking a shower, when you have these 7, just the first 7. That's how ME feels. But we're not even halfway through the list, so let's keep going. Number 8, insomnia. Not being able to fall asleep, not being able to stay asleep. And for a illness that needs a lot, for people that suffer from this illness, need a lot of rest, it's kind of cruel and somewhat ironic to not be able to sleep which just causes a flare up of all the things I'm listing off here. So not being able to sleep is terrible. Anyone who's experienced it could be maddening. Number 9, skin issues, rashes, dry skin, itchy skin, blisters. Not sure that's as common as some of the other ones that I'm listing off, but people do get them and they are not fun. Number 10, hair loss. And I'm not talking about the regular hair loss that aging men get where it's thinning or falling out at a rapid pace, but clumps of hair coming out. I had that happen in the past. Luckily it grew back, but it's very disheartening when you have just chunks of hair coming out. Not a good experience, especially when you're younger and you're just like, what's going on here? It could be tough. Number 11, light and sound sensitivity, extreme sensitivity. Light and sound for some can set off a cascade of symptoms, and they have to often be in a dark room. Some people even wear earmuffs or headphones to drown out sound, even moderate sound, and they could trigger migraines and a lot of other things. Imagine living in a world where light and sound makes you sick. I mean, it's horrible. Number 12, swollen glands and painful glands. I get swollen glands here and here. They can be painful. It can make this area very stiff. That was one of my earlier symptoms I had when I first got sick, along with the brain fog and the muscle pain and the things I've listed. It's very common. Sometimes it can be telling that I'm about to flare up. This will just kind of swell, makes my face look more round. Swollen glands. It could also happen in the groin, armpits. They could be painful and tender. Number 13, blurred vision. Now, some people obviously have many various conditions of the eye, and aging can cause vision to change. I wear glasses, just from aging, but there are days where my vision is much blurrier than another day for no apparent reason, and I have a hard time seeing things. I know that is very common as well. Number 14, shortness of breath. Shortness of breath can be caused by anxiety, heart being out of shape, but there are times where people with ME and CFS get up to brush their teeth and they're having a hard time breathing and catching their breath. Number 15, post-exertional malaise, or PEM. Post-exertional malaise is something everyone with ME understands and knows is a very important thing to know about. Post-exertional malaise is when you've overexerted yourself physically, sometimes mentally and emotionally, and you have a flare-up of symptoms. PEM is something that people with ME on a daily basis are trying to avoid. So you're trying to stay within your baseline, below a certain heart rate, not try to exert yourself too much, or post-exertional malaise can happen. So you're kind of being very careful where you pick and choose to use the energy that you have, or you can cause a flare-up of all the things I've mentioned. Number 16, that's joint pain. The knees, the elbows, sometimes the fingers, you can just get really bad shooting pain. Some people have inflammation. Very similar to fibromyalgia. Another thing that just hurts on a daily basis for a lot of people. Number 17, unrefreshing sleep. Now, this is a little similar to insomnia, but unrefreshing sleep is when you sleep 9, 11 hours and feel like you slept 1 hour and nothing's recovered. And it's a terrible feeling. For those people who don't have insomnia and are able to sleep 9 hours, they wake up feeling like they didn't sleep at all. And for someone who's very healthy, that's a very hard concept to explain, but it's terrible. They sleep 9 hours and then can't even get through 1/3 of the day without falling back asleep from exhaustion. Let's see here. What number are we on? Number 18, heat intolerance. Heat intolerance, too much heat can cause a flare-up of all said symptoms. It can happen from weather. It could happen from a hot shower. It could happen from a bath. It's something everyone with ME should be mindful of. Also, extreme cold weather can do that as well. And none of us want to flare up any of these symptoms. So heat intolerance is something we all have to be mindful of. Number 19. Number 19 is not one of the most severe symptoms, but it's paleness and bags under the eyes. That's not really something people are suffering through, but it is hard to look at yourself in the mirror after you have ME and not really recognize your face and see how pale it is. Sometimes people age a lot quicker, have, swollen eyes and bags under their eyes, and it's not a fun symptom to have. Not nearly as bad as the ones I've already listed. Not fun, though, for anyone. Number 20, sensitivity to medication. There are a lot of supplements that people with ME take and medicines to try to help the symptoms, but it's very odd. People who never had reactions to things before ME have noticed that taking simple things like vitamin C or vitamin D, antibiotics, which I guess are not that simple, but they can cause an array of issues, stomach issues, brain fog, basically a flare-up of a lot of symptoms that I already mentioned. And that's not something we dealt with before having ME. And that just makes things a lot more difficult, especially when you're trying to take things to feel better. Now here at the end, I have some bonus ones I'm going to mention. But before that, if you stuck around till now and you're still watching, try to understand that I just listed off 20 serious, most are pretty serious symptoms. And try to understand that people with ME are dealing with, some people deal with all 20 of the things I just mentioned every day. Those are the very unfortunate ones. Some people are dealing with about half of them every single day, on top of life, on top of worrying about money, relationships, kids, mortgages. There are a lot of people dealing with all of these symptoms. And it's extremely difficult when someone says, oh, you're just tired? Why don't you do some yoga or work out a little bit more, get in better shape? That's not going to work for this. It might help in certain areas for sure, but this is a lot to deal with, okay? It's not just, hey, you're tired or, you're feeling a little foggy, get on with it. This is a lot to deal with. I would challenge anyone who's extremely healthy to look at these symptoms and wonder if they can get through a day with 6 of these symptoms. If you're a healthy person watching this, what would it be like to deal with extreme debilitating fatigue, brain fog, IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, vertigo, and migraines all at one time? It's a lot. So the last few here that I'm going to mention is elevated heart rate, POTS, and low blood pressure, and they all kind of go together. A lot of people with ME deal with heart rate issues, dropping of blood pressure, and fainting, feeling faint, and lightheaded. And some have a really elevated heart rate. And there are many, many more symptoms. So the ones that I left off, everyone with ME out there, drop it in the comments. So if you did get through this video, which is on the longer end, closer to 15 minutes, please have some sympathy, some compassion, some understanding for people going through this very difficult illness. Nobody that has this illness wants to have it, and they're trying everything they can to get better. There aren't a lot of solutions out there at the moment, so show some compassion, some understanding, put yourself in their shoes. Imagine what it would be like to have to give up your career, to give up social gatherings, you lose friends that you love and care about, family members, all because of this illness. That in and of itself is a lot. And then you add these symptoms, and it's a lot for any person, even the strongest of you out there, to deal with. I hope this video helps even one person who didn't understand what it's like to have ME, what it's like, and how much we're really caring on a day-to-day basis. Until next time, take care.